Thank you for joining On the Range podcast. However you are tuning in today, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Also, make sure you swing by warhog.com and kelleydefense.com and sign up for our newsletters. Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to On the Range podcast. I'm your host, Mark Kelley from kelleydefense.com, wherever you are. Thank you for making us part of your day. Rick and I really enjoy you spending your time with us, your precious time, in the OTR universe. We can't thank you enough. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about some politics and how I don't care what party they're in, they're all the same. Now, a couple of things happened last week. Didn't get to it. Had some other stuff that we put out. Hope you're enjoying it. We had a impeachment hearing for the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. We're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about, in politics, the special counsel that was appointed to look into the handling of security documents, as well as the cognitive function of the President of the United States. I picked these two examples, and they come out all the time, folks. These examples are all over the place. And Rick and I have talked about it multiple times inside the OTR universe. They're all the same. I do not associate with either party. Now, left, the Democrat Party, they do a good job of sticking to their guns no matter what. The problem with that is you end up with what we have now. A total disaster, laughing stock disaster of an administration. But you know what? The right side, they're not off the hook. Because these two examples, what I'm going to talk about, perfect examples of how they're just as equally at fault. Let's talk about Alejandro Mayorkas, Department of Homeland Security Secretary. Tried to impeach him. It failed by 2 votes. 2 votes. 4 Republicans crossed the aisle to not impeach. Now, one of the things I want to focus on is one statement from Representative Ken Buck, Colorado, Republican. He indicates, although incompetent, Secretary Mayorkas did not reach the level for impeachment that they were addressing. Think about that for a second. So the things that he's charged with, he didn't reach the level for impeachment, but he's incompetent. We don't impeach for incompetence? We don't impeach for incompetence. What a chicken crap move this was. Chicken crap move. Can you believe that? You're saying the person that is running the show, resource-wise, of securing our southern border is incompetent. You're admitting that he's incompetent, but you're going to leave him there. This was an opportunity to impeach. So because it wasn't in the statement, I would think that incompetence should be in there regardless. But the statement of facts, he didn't feel it reached the level. How did it not reach the level if everything he does is incompetent? It's a good question. Let's move on. Robert Hur, H-U-R-R, I believe he's from Maryland, Republican representative, was looking into the documents handling for the President of the United States. Also, the cognitive ability of the President of the United States. He mentioned a plethora of things that happened during the interviews. Said that the president couldn't even remember when he was last vice president. Could not remember the date of his son's death. Now, he's elderly. He mentions several other things about not being able to remember, being confused about things. He says, that the president is not going to be charged with anything here because he does not have the cognitive ability to understand that it was a crime. So what he's basically saying there is you have to have an act, and this is some legal talk. You have to have an act and you have to have intent. You have to have both of those. Can't have one without the other. You have to have the act and you have to have intent. Well, he's saying he doesn't have intent because he's not mentally there enough to even recognizing that he's committing a crime. So if he's not there mentally enough to know if he's committing a crime or not, how is he in charge of the country? Why are we leaving him in power? Why are we bringing that up? These two representatives were in a position to at least further what they are saying about these two individuals in our government. One's incompetent and one does not even know he's there, doesn't know nothing. And we've talked about it. The president had a horrible last week. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible. And then I can't believe that they put him out on a press conference concerning the release, claiming it as a victory of the findings from Representative Hur. He was awful. He was awful. And I want to point out a couple other things too that I found very interesting. And during this press conference, the press corps was all over him, shouting, interrupting him, everybody shouting at the same time, asking him crazy questions about his age and his cognitive ability. They wouldn't have done that 3 years ago. 5 years ago when President Trump was involved, they would have been asking for him to be impeached just for that. So you got to ask yourself, why would they be doing that? I don't know. Either the fix is in or they're just tired of it. But honestly, I don't think they're tired of it. Even if they were, they still wouldn't do it if the fix wasn't in. They wouldn't be allowed. They'd be kicked out. So something's going up. There's no way, and I mentioned this last week on another episode, there's no way in the world that he is going to be the nominee. I will be shocked. I think they're trying their best to hang on, to do whatever they can. There's no way this guy's going to debate. No way. So I really want to focus on that Ken Buck statement. Ken Buck, representative from Colorado, indicates that the Secretary for the Department of Homeland Security is incompetent. But the charges here did not reach the level of impeachment. Insane. But those are your people, Republicans. The only thing we do is vote them out, right? He needs to hear about that. He absolutely needs to hear about that.